Yo, yo, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alejandro Alvarez. Welcome to the Think Big podcast. Today we have a special guest today, Mr. Andre himself. I've known him for a while now, for at least 5 years. He's an entrepreneur, ran multiple seven figures business, and he's doing the honor of just coming on today and hanging out with us and answering some questions and just telling us about his story, man. So, Mr. Andre, man, how are you doing, brother? How are you feeling?
Good, man. Yeah, we are just talking about how long we've known each other, and it's crazy how time flies. I got a 5-year-old now, and I moved here in 2017, and a couple of friends early on, Erin and
Yeah.
Francisco. I think you were kind of the third one in, and uh, it's crazy, man. Time flies. It's nuts. But
Heck yeah, bro. From the processing system, right? That's what it was, the payment
mhm.
processing.
Yeah. John and I moved here in 2017 to move our office out here, and ended up in uptown Dallas, out of all places, and it was wild. It was wild, and we knew literally one person, and I think you, Aaron, Francisco, maybe a couple others at that point was all we knew, man. And it's crazy to see how far, including you, how far everybody's come.
Bro, that's crazy, bro. We've definitely grown, but I can one thing I can say about you, bro, about you is that ever since I've met you, you've always been on it, bro. Like you're always been, chasing the entrepreneurship, making shit happen, and it's not even a surprise that you're still here and you're successful in all the business that you ran. So I mean, just for everybody that's watching right now, Andre, give us a little bit introduction about yourself, like where you started, where you at now, and what made you start here? You know,
Yeah. So it's a long story, but I grew up with a family that was they were entrepreneurs. My stepmom and my dad raised me, and my stepmom owned a salon. She was an immigrant. Uh, I don't even think she had a green card yet, to be honest. Um, and so I just saw that all the time. And my parents, I think after fifth grade, ended up sending me to a really good school for middle school. That was the other side of town. And at that time, told me, hey, to get there, you're gonna have to take the public bus every morning. So I'd have to wake up at like 5:30 in the morning every day by myself, take the bus an hour there, do my sports, school, come back. My dad was a big boxer, so I'd meet him at the gym, go to the gym every day because he boxed every day, then go home after. I wouldn't get home till 8, sometimes 9 at night, and have to do it again. And I think, that right there, like you said, always being on it, it's like, it's not really anything new to me. It was just like from such a young age, having to do that. It's very, very uncomfortable. Even when I'm on vacation, which I have to now like train myself to turn it off. It's anxiety for me because I'm like, I should be doing something. And so I was raised that way, and,
Mm.
ended up finishing high school. I was going to college for business. I was into music a lot, still play a lot of music, but I was minoring in music.
Hmm.
And I was broke as a kid, not as a kid, as in college. Everybody's broke in college most of the time, right? And
Heck yeah.
I, I mean, real broke. And I just remember that anxiety, and I was just looking for like, what can I do without having to figure out like how I can have money to pay my bills or like eat and just do normal stuff and go to school. And, thankfully my parents didn't give me that safety net. And I think that's a big thing is, first off, getting rid of that safety net and just putting yourself in a position to not want to succeed but have to succeed. There's a big, big difference. I
Mm.
think that was one thing. And anyway, so I was going to college and trying to make money on the side, and I ended up getting like recruited. This is really random, but I got like recruited because I was going to Portland State University, which, and I'm from Portland, Oregon, by the way, which
Yep.
is it's really a commuter school, median, like it's in downtown. There's a lot of transplants there, but the college is downtown, downtown. So I live pretty much downtown, and I went out to this bar. I was hanging out with one of my friends from college, and this guy like approached me and was like, "Hey, man, I think you'd be a good uh, table service promoter at this club. And it was a really nice one, like the best one there. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, okay, trying to make some money. So I do that. And I did that for a little bit. So I was doing that. And then I was working for two education technology companies as like executive assistant, and which was like remote work, but it was a good start in the business. You know what I mean? And so I was busy. I was like school, doing the work, mostly from home, and then doing that at night, like 3 or 4 nights a week. And one day there was this guy that would come in all the time, and he'd always be wearing uh, back then like the True Religion jeans, back when those were cool, with like Louis Vuitton
Oh, I
loafers.
remember those,
Uh
bro.
huh. And a three-piece suit top with the long sleeves with the tie, this big knot, the
That's
redhead
crazy.
guy. People that know me know who this is. And he'd always come in and order, like, I'm not kidding, like 40 shots at a time, like trays full of them. Right? I'm like,
What the
what?
heck?
But I mean, he was so funny. We got along. Then one day I was just like, what do you do, dude? What do you do? And he's like nonchalant, he's just payments. I'm like, payments? What is that? You know? He's like credit card terminals, a point of sale system, just that. And then, he keeps ordering shots, whatever. And at the end of the night, he's like, hey man, you should come work for me. And I'm like, what? Okay. Yeah, yeah. And he's like, come to the office tomorrow. I'm going to text you. Come at like 8 a.m. So I show up, and there's this guy there, and I still respect this guy. He's still a hero to me.
What year was this, Andre? What year was this?
This was this was probably 2011, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like 22, 23, something like that.
And this was
It
in
was a little
Portland?
kid. Mhm. So I was
Wow.
young. So I go there, and I tell the lady, it's like, hey, I have an appointment for an interview, I guess. And I go up and I meet with this guy, tiny guy, Aaron Plotsky. He was the VP of the company. He looks pissed. And I'm like, okay. And same thing, full, like, just decked out suit, all the Louis Vuitton shoes, the whole 9 yards. And I sit down, and he's like, look, he's like, I don't want to hire you, but Birds says you're hired, so it is what it is. I'm like, okay, all right. Literally, so right away I'm like, okay, I don't belong here, you know? And
Oh my
so
god.
I go to training that day, and it was like 2, 3, 4 days of training. And I had never sold. This was, so you guys, for those that don't know, merchant services is, the point of sale systems and credit card terminals, rates, fees, gateways, mobile devices, whatever businesses need to take payments, right?
Mhm.
And so I do this training, and I've never sold a deal in my life. I was going to school for business, but never sold anything. So I finished
Yeah.
this training, and right away I get assigned to this sales manager, old timer, good old boy, Larry. Golly, I forget his last name. It was like Larry Page or something like that. Red hair, 50 something years old. Pretty sure he had like a pistol on his desk, like the big kind. He's a good old boy, but in the Northwest, so it was weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, all right, well, we're going to make some money. You're going on a sales trip. And I said, what?
This I'm assuming this guy like southern accent.
He maybe was, but he talked like that. And we're in the Northwest, like kind of had a drawl. He was like a good old boy from the Northwest, which is super weird. In the
Wow.
Northwest, they talk like kind of like a Hollywood, that Hollywood kind of
Yeah.
super West Coast. Anyway, so he's like, you're going on a sales trip. We're sending you to Eugene, Oregon, Monday. So, get ready. I'm like, what? What? He's like, you're going for a week by yourself. Like, I'm going to a hotel for a week by myself
Yeah.
for a sales trip. I've never sold anything in my life. I just finished training. I'm like, all right, all right, I'll figure it out. Let's do it. And I end up going on this sales trip. And I remember driving down to Eugene, Oregon, which is like, that's where the University of Oregon's at, the Ducks
Mhm.
and all that, right? About an hour and a half, I guess, maybe 2 hours from Portland. Driving down there, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Right. And they sent me my hotel itinerary. I check in. go to bed, and I wake up, and I have like 4 or 5 appointments the next day. And the first one is an auto shop. And if you don't know, like Eugene, Oregon is not it's not a big city. It's not bougie,
Mm-hmm.
kind of hippie granola college town type of thing. And it's this beat up auto shop. So I go there to like at a 9 a.m. appointment. And I go in and I have my little steps to the cell, like on my dashboard, like, all right, here we go. So nervous, roll up in and go to the front desk. There's these 2 younger girls, about my age. So I'm like, oh, perfect. Oh, good. Amen. I was working at like, the bar stuff, after work, and I'm around that age. So I'm like, oh, thank God, I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be like this super professional thing. They're like, hey, okay, so you're Andre. Oh, cool. Well, the owner's busy, and this is a beat down auto shop, like, not nice, and they're like, well, tell us what you got. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I was like, I need this and this. So I put this quote together. Back then, how it worked, which is crazy to think, I had to gather the info, fill out this qualification checklist, get their merchant statement, put it all together, and then I had to fax it in. So I'm like, where's your fax machine? How you doing?
What's up, Sam? Sing.
Guys, I am terribly sorry. For the first time ever, I just got completely kicked out of StreamYard and I had to reset the account, reset all the hardware, but we're back. Andre, it is great to meet you. Great to see you. I'm so sorry. You
Oh,
were
you're
going down
good.
an amazing story, and I don't want to interrupt on that, so
Not
please
a
continue.
problem. Yeah. So anyway, so I faxed this stuff in, which is also like it's one of those things where you gotta like key in the number and it's and everything. I'm so nervous, dude. Like, so it's just like anxiety. And then I call him, like, here's what's going on. Like, I'm not sure what to do, man, but like, give me it quick, hurry, and then tell me what to do. So like 30 minutes passes. I'm just shooting the breeze with these girls. And then they're like, well, pretty much it's up to us, but the owner's right over there, so we'll figure it out. I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't know what I'm doing. So anyway, Larry shoots it back, calls me, kind of loads my lips, right? Tells me what to say. I present it to them, and they're just look at me and they say, okay, we'll do it. I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, all right, cool. Give me 10 minutes. Cause I didn't know how to fill. I didn't know what to do really. I did 2-3 days of training. That was it ever.
Yeah.
And so I had this like, I think it was like 13 or 16 page contract. And back then you didn't have DocuSign like that. It was all wet signatures.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was it, And
yeah.
I'm like, try to shoo them off for 10 minutes to let me prep to figure out what to do. And so I call Larry. I'm like, oh my God, hey man, they want to do it. He's like, what? He's like, oh, okay. And he's like, walk me through. I'm filling this stuff out. I get their driver's license. I get their voided check, EIN, full social, all this stuff. They're getting it from the owner. And I fill this paperwork out, and then the owner has to come in to sign it. And I'm like shaking, like literally the pen, like, here you go, sir, And he starts to grill me a little bit, but then he signs it, and I got to fax it back to Larry. And I
Oh,
leave,
man.
and I get in the car, and I'm like, what just happened? And he's like, man, he's like, you signed your first appointment ever? He's like, I've never seen that before. And after that, he's like, you just made like $1,000. And again, I was broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And after that, I was hooked. And I think I finished that trip with like 4 deals. And I was like first or second for sales that week, in the company. And went to school. And for some reason, the owner, there were 2 owners, and, the one I had known just liked me or something.
Yeah.
And I think I did like 1 or 2 months of sales in the field. And then he's like, hey, we're going to promote you to a national sales manager. Again, I'm like, what? What do you mean?
That's
Wait,
wild.
no. What? No, but he's like, no, you're doing it, so I do that. And I thought I was the man at that point. You know what I mean? I was like 0 to 500 right out of the gate, which really is a fluke, I think,
Wow.
and now what I have to do is I have to come in office, right? I got to come in, and my job is recruit, train, sell, repeat, recruit, train. And they were military style, right? But in a
Mhm.
good way. It was like there was camaraderie. The owners knew each other from high school, COO. They're all kind of like old high school friends. And so it was like a family. And I
Mhm.
think that's something that people right there, like is, it's not only money. If you can build companies where there is that camaraderie, that family environment, that kind of like group competition, us against the world, it's really hard to create. But when you get there, it's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fun. You win together. You have like no turnover. Like I was there for 5 years and there was like no turnover. We just grew. Nobody quit, you know?
Wow.
But yeah. And
It's not like
so
that for us in the life of Sam and
it's
I.
not,
Man.
it's rare, man. I mean, I try and get there, and it's very, very hard, especially today. But that goes into other stuff. It could be there's a lot more access to social media and options and this
Hmm.
and that, and but if you can do it, it's huge. And so anyway, so now my job was, hey, you're gonna recruit for like your first full week. That's all you're gonna do. We're gonna print out this fat stack of resumes, and you're gonna recruit a team of like 10 to 20 people in key areas in the nation. It could be New York, LA, it could be Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming, Montana, you name it, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm doing these recruiting calls, and I was so young that my voice was like kind of high. So I still remember like trying to be like, hello,
Yeah. Yeah.
just nervous. I don't know what to do, and I'm just recruiting. I'm recruiting. I get a couple of my friends to come in and work with me too. And now I've got this little team. And again, I just thought I had it down. Like I was the man. I know how to sell. I know how to do this. Right. But
Hmm.
like selling in person and selling over the phone, first off, it's very, very different.
Oh yeah.
Very, very, very different. And then on top of that, be able to show somebody else how to do something you know how to do is
Hmm.
exponentially harder, you know? And I built this team over the first couple of weeks, and then I went from like number one, number two to last, just dead last, spinning my wheels, and like was scared to ask for help. The president, or I'm not sorry, the VP, Aaron, he was the type where like until you were the man, that he was not talking to you. Like when I did my
Yeah.
interview, he's like, "Well, I guess you're hot," So I'm like scared, terrified to ask him for help. I'm just face planting so bad. And then finally I got the guts for like, hey man, I need help. Like, what do I do? And he's like, look, you're gonna get your people to the appointments, they're gonna get this info. Every single presentation you have, I'm gonna present it. You're gonna sit next to me. I don't want you touching a single deal for a month. I'm like,
Wow.
okay, and I did it. And then that next month, I was like number one, number two again. I talked like him. I knew when to say things. It like completely changed everything for me, right? And so I did that for a while, and there's a moral to this too, you know.
Mm.
But I did that for a while. I was crushing it. We're doing good. This company was, when I joined, I think it was a year and a half old. Really starting from zero. The owners were maybe 27, 28, and we were just booming fast. And I ended up getting to the point where I was usually number one, number two. And I remember one day we decided to open up an office in San Diego, which was the second office. And there
Mm.
were these studs down there from one of the owners' prior company that he was with, where something happened and he was going to have them join and open an office down there. These guys come in and just smoke us bad. And
Mm.
I'm like, how are these guys doing this? Like, I thought I was the man. And again, the next level.
Right.
And I remember Aaron, the VP again, who now is like, dude, I think that guy all the time. I don't see him. I still text him on his birthday, like, dude, you changed my life, And
Wow.
I was like, he brought in this video, and I was always trying to get better, but I didn't know how. I was young, And I
Yeah.
remember him bringing in this Grant Cardone YouTube video, and I never even thought to look up sales coaching, And I was like, what is that? What is that? Where'd you get that? And I watched every Grant Cardone video, every freaking book, every morning, like a ritual. And next thing you know, boop, 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 next level, went up again, right? I
Yeah.
did that for 5 years, to where we ended up having an office in Portland, San Diego, New York, West Palm Beach, and then ended up getting, I still remember this too, it's so crazy. We got invited to the Oregon's, which I know Oregon is Oregon, but we got invited to like fastest growing privately held companies within a 3-year period. None of us knew what was going to happen. We just wanted to party. We're all young, so we're like, yeah, heck yeah. We got the freaking party bus and the limo. We all got suited and booted. I still have the picture. I look like a little kid, right? I wish I had brought it for this. We go, we're smashed. We're smashed. We didn't think we were winning anything, We're sitting there. We just keep drinking. We got the party bus outside. And pretty soon it gets up to like top 5. And then we're like, what? And then number 2 comes up. It's Dutch Bros Coffee. You guys probably see Dutch Bros Coffee. They're public now. They get number 2 and they call us for number 1. And we're like, we freak out, dude. We're blacked out. Like we freak out. We go up to the stage. We just won number 1 fastest growing company, privately held, new companies in the whole state.
Wow.
And then we go on that year, we get Inc. 500. I think it was 374th fastest growing in America. And it was amazing, And I think right there is something really important. And I deal with this today too, is realizing you gotta get around people and learn and earn those stripes. And it sounds silly because when I tell people that, they're like, they get this attitude. And I'm like, I did that for 5 years and I bled the colors. I didn't want to leave. By the way, the only reason I left is they ended up going public after that in a bad deal, right? And they became employees, just terrible. They were young too, and it ruined everything. And I was so sad when it was time to leave, But you tell people like, hey, they're like, what could I do? I'm like, and they want to start companies after like 3 months in an industry, and you're like, dude, like, don't do that. It's just not good for anybody. Go find people you respect, get in with a good team around good culture, and put some time in and really soak up what they're doing, and don't reinvent the wheel, and like get it down almost military style to where you can duplicate. And then by the time you're ready to leave, like it's just going to be easy. You just go, all you got to do is go do what you're already doing. You know what I mean? And so, that's something still today I try to duplicate a lot, and really encourage people to take that time to earn those stripes and to get to that point where they're confident. But anyway, the rest I'll kind of recap after that. I ended up, I think I was 27, started my first business in merchant services, and I teamed up with another group. It was a competing group. We were all kind of friends. Portland's not huge, just about the size of Austin, And merchant services is like it's a mecca in Portland. So there's a lot of companies. We all knew each other. And I go there, and they were starting kind of a new company, but they're going to do like the back end deployment, this and that. And they had some other companies in there, and I boomed right away. I just treated it like I did it every other time. I was there at 8 sharp. I was like, I was hitting sales myself, building teams, everything. I was just working like I worked every day, and I boomed, boom, wham, straight up. And I did that for about a year. And then there was issues with their back end and how they were looking to grow their business. It just didn't fit the model. And I still love those guys today. But they're like, we're going to get away from having multiple companies where we're deploying. We're just going to do all one brand in-house. And so I was back to square one, like freaking out, like, oh crap, what am I going to do? And had to pivot, made my own brand again. And it was just wobbly for like a year. And that's when John, my business partner, I don't know if I hit him up or he hit me up, but I was just at the point where I was just out selling deals by myself because I was trying to clear my head. And he's like, what are you doing now? I was like, I'm out in so-and-so. Because when you're in that industry, it's very competitive, right? In the inner city. So when you go to like a sales trip, you can go to a small city and, way, way more productive. And so I was in like some I think it was Bend, Oregon, small city by myself in a hotel. I'm like, I'm just selling deals, dude, whatever. He's like, really? Well, I'm not doing anything. Somehow he ended up coming that week to my hotel to sell with me. And then we just kept selling deals. And then eventually we were like, well, why don't we go to a bigger market and look at expanding, because over there it's so competitive. There's so many companies in this, city the size of Austin, and it's not like Texas where there's people everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I would say
This is
80%.
Seattle you're speaking of?
Portland. So you've got
Portland.
so Portland and Seattle, really in Washington and in Oregon, like Portland is probably 75% of the population of the
Yeah.
whole state, you know, and
Wow.
Seattle is probably the equivalent of Washington. Outside
Mhm.
of that, it's just there's not a whole lot there. And so you're like, well, shoot, okay, well, where should we go? And we had a call center and at that point and some other things. And minimum wage, even back then, this is like 2016, 2017, minimum wage there was $15 an hour already, right? You have a
Yeah.
call center, that's minimum, that's McDonald's, you know. Cost of living is like 40, 50% more. Taxes, you got a state income tax return, you got a federal tax return. I mean, it's just very expensive as a young entrepreneur. So we're like, well, let's go to Phoenix, Dallas, or Nashville. He had a girlfriend there at the time in Nashville, so I knew what that was.
Yeah.
But we went to each of the cities for I think a week, and we went to Dallas first. And I had a friend here that had lived here, so we stayed with them. Did Dallas first. We did Phoenix, and then we went to Nashville, where his girlfriend was. Right, and I remember this is a funny story. I don't even know if I should say this, but it was so cheap in Dallas to live compared to where we were from that we found this sick penthouse. Like I think you might have saw it back when we first moved here.
Yes. Is that the one downtown?
Massive. Oh, it was huge. It was like 4,000 square feet, 3 stories.
Two,
like 50,
yeah,
50,
3 stories, wood floors, I think.
just ridiculously
Oh,
big,
did I remember that?
And for us, we're like, well, we're gonna pay the same amount of rent if we just split it, but we'd never see each other. It was that big. We see this place, and I was so excited that I remember before we left, I had already like virtually signed the lease. Before we left Nashville, we were supposed to go home and decide, and his girlfriend was expecting him to obviously move there. And we were at brunch, like one of our last days, and my phone was sitting there, and the approval for the lease, and it said Dallas, Texas, popped up, and she saw it. And I remember she threw a freaking mimosa glass at my head, and I dodged it, and it like hit the wall. And I'm like, what happened? And I looked up, like, oh my god, she saw the Dallas lease approval. And I can't make this up. I don't know what I'm supposed to say on here, but she ran out, and it was like pouring rain, and there was like a step, and she slipped and broke her leg.
Oh.
I can't make this up. Like she broke her leg, and
That was karma for the mimosa, huh? Holy crap, bro.
and yeah,
You could always blame it on the mimosa. I mean, that's just it, though.
I mean, yeah. And so anyway, so we end up going home, getting things in order. I had a Range Rover at the time, packed up just like one of those small U-Haul, what do you call them, trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And we like got rid of everything else, packed that thing up, and drove from Portland to Dallas, and ended up getting here. It was, I don't know, 20-something hour drive, getting here, setting up, and first thing we try to do is find an office. We're like, well, and the funny thing is that place we were in was so huge that we had put, I don't know if they might have been in there when you came, Alejandro, but we put some cubicles in there and some desks in one part on the bottom floor, and I had hired a few people in there to set our appointments. So me and John would go run them and sell, to get money. And ended up, I posted on Facebook, and I was like, hey, looking for an office, any connections in Dallas? And, a guy I knew in Portland, his cousin had just sold his residual portfolio in a building. It was the Pacific Tower. And it was a huge office, like, I don't know, 15 or 20,000 square feet, fully cubicles, everything in there. And so we go look at it, and he's trying to get us to do this massive office, which was way too expensive for us. And we're like, look, we're not taking this office over. But he wanted to help. He wanted to partner up, And so we end up working with him. He does a lot of our back end. He funds us. We end up getting like, I think 50 or 100 grand, right? And helped us kind of really rock it off here. And it's been up and down since then. Then we went, and we were booming. We were doing 100 plus deals a month, which in that industry is like a lot, that fast. Doing 100 deals a month. We're booming. I think we had probably 40 something employees. I'm talking real employees, W-2. This was probably, this is 2 years in at that point. And,
and this is for the payment processing, right?
Yep. Pearl payments.
Wow.
Yeah. And COVID hit, and we were just, like, dude, now what? Because all the businesses shut down. Like, we're paid off of transaction fees and selling new business to businesses. They're shut down. Like, we're screwed. Like, oh my God. And ironically, one of the guys that worked with us in Portland, Ian, was doing solar in Odessa and hit us up and was like, hey, you should come do solar. I know you guys aren't doing anything. He used to do merchant services with us. And I'm making 100.
What year was this, Andre?
20 when COVID, right when COVID hit. So 2020.
Oh wow, that's when the people's life changed for the better or for the worse.
Oh yeah. And yeah,
dude.
So he was he's like, I'm making $100,000 or more a month knocking doors. And I was like, he was like that Wolf of Wall Street scene where you're like, show me your pay stub and I'll come right now. Literally, and he did. And so we're like literally just drove to Midland, Odessa. And I remember I was doing business to business sales. I had never done residential sales, so I come in like a full suit and tie. Meanwhile, I didn't realize these guys wear like polos and athletic gear. So I just looked like a clown, rolling in there like these snobby dudes in full suit, decked out, going in there, meet the owners. There's Oscar Luna and Bankhead and those guys, Zenith Solar back then. And they're like, we're gonna go knock. I'm like, I wasn't scared of selling at that point. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna change. And I remember going out, I had my Apple Watch, and I just would record every single time he would do anything. And he signed which in solar is insane, insane. He signed like 3 or 4 deals. I still don't know if he'd set these up before with like his hottest leads, but dude, he just was like whack, 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 whack. And I was like, how much did you just make? He's like, oh, like 50,000. And I was like, no way. But I was just sold. So I'm glad he did it. I'm still to this day, like, that had to be set up. Like he had to like prep his best follow-ups for that day. And we stayed a few more days, recorded it on my watch, went back to Dallas, took some of our team from merchant services, Aaron, some of the other guys. And we were really one of the, not the first groups in Dallas to do the solar, on a higher level, but it was really new.
Yeah.
And convinced them to do a warehouse in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Ian stayed with me, moved here. We opened the warehouse in Dallas, second location, kind of grew that up, ended up getting the headquarters moved to Dallas. And then I ended up building their inside sales department because they didn't have one. I was like, what are you guys doing with all this data, all these doors you knock, all these dispositions? They're like, nobody wants that. I'm like, well, why don't I just do inside sales and build it? Because that's a gold mine. He's like, you can't do. And mind you, when you come from door to door, no disrespect, but they really drink that Kool-Aid. They bleed knocking doors, which is part of the training. That's that camaraderie again. But when I say they bleed it, they looked at me like it was the stupidest idea they'd ever heard. And so I did that. And that same year, our team ended up, I don't know if we got like first that year, but right after that, we had merged and created DECA. You guys might have heard of DECA. And then we merged again with 5 other companies nationally to become Lumio. And I just started inside sales. We didn't even have a full 12 months. And we got, I think it was #1 team on my inside sales team, because I had an outside sales team too, because I transitioned. We got #1. I just remember looking at it like, remember? You told me you can't do that. It's actually have the bat, like you won all the awards. It's funny, but
crazy.
Yeah, man. So did that, and they ended up merging too. And with the mergers, like they're good for some and they're not, and going public and whatever. But just got convoluted. And I was like, it's also time to go. There is a time to go sometimes. So started SoHome Solar. It's been almost 2 years, and now it's just the same as everybody else, trying to put the pieces together, trying to fix the things that didn't work, keep the things that did work, build that culture. It's not easy. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of bad relationships. There's good relationships. There's COVID. There's freaking wars. There's rate hikes. And it's just, I think you were talking about the other day, Alejandro, like sometimes it just sucks being an entrepreneur, but like, if that's all like, you don't have a lot of other choices. It's just like, you got to work, and it just sucks sometimes. But and that's where it's at now. And here I am, and it's my story.
That's amazing.
I want to go back a little bit, because you've said something a few times that's really phenomenal. I think is super slept on in all of sales, and it's that in your early upcoming, there was a theme of like a military kind of brotherhood, like a camaraderie. And then you said like throughout your journey, you've implemented consistently that kind of military culture and things. And I think you might still be doing it today in I think maybe your sales team. I've heard from some of the best, like people doing 100 million plus a year in some type of sales marketing industry, right? Solar's one of them. Obviously real estate, we have tons of sales marketing and wholesale. What is it about the military and the military culture that translates so well into our various industries?
Yeah, I think, I like to look at things from a standpoint of, when you start a business, what's most important? It's sales, right? Without sales, there's no business. And I also like to look at, like, if there's a department head or sales, I always build the sales teams, but I also have to integrate CRMs and systems and operations and all these things around that, right? But if I don't know how that sales generated from like myself, I always do it myself first, right? So I know it's important to get that sell. I know what the tools are that I need. I know how to submit a deal. I know what I'd want to see to be able to duplicate that. And I think it's not so much that like there's a big stick where I need to be the big bad boss at all. It's more so like people need to see that if they give this much or these types of inputs, that they can yield these outputs, and they can rely on that structure to build something besides like a fly by night check, right? Like here and there. When you get serious people that want to excel, they want to know that if they put effort in, that they can duplicate it over and over again and get better. It's almost like, how people gamify certain things, right? It's the same concept, but it's more important to put those structures in place, not for just yourself and the company, but for the people that are working hard to get better, so they know what they need to do and can count on to do that.
That's so good, right? It's like it's especially before you start bringing people on. I got to talk to a few newer entrepreneurs who are basically looking to scale their sales team, and really when it comes down to culture, I love that you said this, and this is so good. I think this is something so slept on. People will get into an industry, and the first thing they do is they hire out every single position, and they've never done any of them, right? And we see that a lot, especially in like real estate wholesale. But to your point, you got in even in a different vehicle, you were still doing the sales. In the beginning, you still did it. You still picked up the phone, you dialed, you saw what that process needed to look like to convert the sale, to get the cash coming in. And then you started building the team around your raw, honest experience. But to your point, it's like culture has to come from one, trusting the leaders. One thing that I love about, the military, and it's actually, I study military culture a lot for sales programs and for sales training and sales team camaraderie and structure. And it's like, one, because chain of command is so important. But two, in the military, what happens when people go through an academy is they can really very quickly and easily submit to the training and adhere to it, from their drill sergeants, from their instructors, because these drill sergeants and instructors, they've done it. They've gone to war, they've battled, they know what they're doing. And when your leader's been there, done that, and came out of it, and they're a success, you don't question the advice, you don't question the orders, you don't question the structure. I think it makes it so much easier for your new sales guys. And like for anyone that doesn't know, most sales guys naturally are a little bit competitive. There's a fair bit of pride and ego there. And sometimes it's extremely healthy to have it, the right amount of it. And there can sometimes be a challenge of authority, unless like the authority has shown, hey, we've done this, we crush it, we know what we're doing. We're not speaking from theory, we're speaking from experience. So I just want to give you some respect for that, because not enough people are really running that in their businesses the way that you are.
And I think, and I'm not, nor is anybody perfect. There is a period where there's some trial and error and chaos, right? Like there's a beginning portion of business. Let's not fake it. Like you're going to have that beginning stage where you're going to have to figure out how to get deals and what works and what doesn't, and, the whole 9 yards. And so also people and leaders and people coming in knowing like, hey, this is a new company. I always try and set that expectation early, like, hey, this is a new office. This is going to be a little chaotic. There's not always going to be a manual, but the goal is to get it here. So if you're okay with that, then I think we can go far. So in the beginning, like also putting that expectation, because like if we could just make a manual on our computer right from the beginning, that's going to work every single time. None of us would ever have to work again, right? But there's got to be some trial and error. So you're going to have both. But ultimately, I think it's so important to get there with that being the intention, right? But also people going into work, it's harder than ever after COVID. I've noticed to hire people that can buy into that. They want to work from home. The work ethic's bad. They're expecting they've gotten all these different loans and forgivenesses and nothing against that. Some people need it, right? But now when you want to create that structure, there's so much kickback and it's so hard to find people. They want to have 50 jobs and they want to, nobody wants to earn that time. Even if, you're pouring in resources, there's that entitlement also, and so I think, it's definitely a process to get there. And I think a lot of companies are going through a period now that the world's changed so much that they are there, but people got to, I think, get back to like understanding where it needs to go again and get back into that groove, because I think people are in denial a little bit about where things are at and how sloppy it's gotten, and that money's going to run out and that forgiveness is going to run out, and that it's time to get back to work, get around good people, hustle, don't be entitled. The boss is not better than you and vice versa. Like everybody have respect and grind. And I think that's important.
Beautiful. This is so good, man. Sam, how do you feel about all this information we're getting right now?
I love one of the things that I love the most is like, it's like finding like kindred spirits, right? You find kindred spirits in other industries and other niches, and I'm just like, of course it would be Alejandro that just knows Andre, and I'm over here like in the island that I'm on in California, and like we don't get to have these talks because these there's not all the phenomenal entrepreneurs who think this way, who feel this way, who can basically spit fire the way that Andre can. They basically all left. And,
oh no!
And yeah, they all left Cali. So, and you know what?
Where are you at?
They all probably went to Dallas too. I mean, that's really the thing. They all went to Dallas. They all went to Austin. They all went to Texas. But no, this is phenomenal. One thing that I want to ask, because a lot of people are in this kind of position. We have this entitlement issue, and it's funny. We did an episode a couple weeks back, maybe about a month ago. Alejandro, if you remember, it was about why people don't win. And it's about all the things. And I think the number one thing we kept coming back to was entitlement. It was probably entitlement as a whole. So, you're absolutely right. Like, it is not like it was in COVID. We're still coming out of it. We've effectively come out of it, but there's still a lot more to be done. And in about like the next 2 to 5 years, probably, I think the world will be a lot more back to the way it was before than after in terms of what's required for a business to be hyper successful. So in a world right now, especially in America, when everyone is obsessed with, it's funny, this is a polarizing kind of phrase, when everyone is obsessed with work-life balance and being virtual workers and there's an entitlement issue, how do you go about finding the best candidates for your team? Like, where do you go to find the all-stars?
Great question.
It's really hard. Like, honestly, that's a huge struggle for me right now. And even the entitlement, like, again, like, not one person is better than the other. I think about all the time, like, sometimes I'd rather not lead a team. I think about like, why don't I just go sell deals? Because it's so hard, and I'll probably make more money. But I just have done that already, and I want to do something bigger, right? But I think about that a lot. Like, I'm not better than them, right? Sometimes I envy them, But I think it's gotten really, really tough to find good people for a few reasons. I think one, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. It's not just COVID, right? Even like look at the interest rates and how that's really hurt mortgage and probably the housing market. And it's every industry. It's the cost of money, like everything, inflation, and like, everything's just really scattered and coming out of that. And so it's an opportunity for people that can adjust, right? But meantime, people are just like scattered, right? And so it's gotten to the point now where I'm being very selective. I'm not mass hiring. I used to have like full recruiting department, onboarding, training every week, all this crazy, just boom, 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 grow, 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 like grow as fast as I can. Now I'm at the point where I want to take a step back and be very selective. Alejandro came to my office, I think last week, and I was like, yeah, I probably fit like 10 or 12 or 15 people in here. It's going to be, a very select group for this like kind of inside sales department. But I'm going to use that opportunity to find really good, reliable people, be very clear on what my expectations are, and test that stuff out and how it works. And I think that's where a lot of people are at, is it's time to like adjust, evaluate, and then get ready for the next attack and expansion again. And so that's where I'm at. Like, I don't have a solution right now. I think a lot of people don't. I think they're, a lot of us are trying to figure out what that direction is.
Man, bro, this is so good. I swear to God, this could probably go up to like 3 hours. Like, I have so many questions. I wrote down so many notes. This is crazy. But Sam, you missed some really good points in the beginning, which is something that we relate to. He said, there, and you probably just spoke over it, Andre, like it was nothing because like it's whatever to you. But he was saying something along the line where there's a difference with someone that has to succeed and someone that wants to succeed. And that is huge for us because, Sam and I, we talk to so many people every day. And there's people that always want like, hey, I want to do what you do. I want to do what you do. And there's never really a passionate reason behind that. They're just like, I just want to get out my W-2. I'm like, okay. And 9 times out of 10, those people will fail. But man, that is so like relatable to what, we go through in real estate, man. It's like, we're trying to hire these people. We want to help these people. There's tons of people that I've tried helping, and I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, or, 2 months later, they start playing this victim card where, this is not working out, or this is probably not for me. And what's funny is, Sam, you probably don't know this, but I worked for Andre a while back, like late 2017, 2018. Best experience I've ever had, man. Like, you and your business partner were like the best. That was like my first taste of being around successful people. And at that time, honestly, I think if I didn't met you back then, bro, I don't think I would have been starting real estate, because I think the first 2 weeks we met, you even gave me your login to your Audible. It's like, hey man, go read these books and everything. You didn't even know me, bro. You was like, here's my Audible login. You remember that? I probably still have the login.
Yeah. I think it's like, if you can get good at like, bottom line is like, you said it. I listened in on I caught the end of your last podcast, and it was like, it is competitive, but like also like my job, I get paid to cultivate people to be better, right? I could easily go sell a deal and be like, F this, I'm going to be selfish. I'm just going to go sell for me and be me. Right. But again, I've done that. And it's like, I want to do bigger, right? And so I literally get paid to make you better, right?
Yep.
And so you got to let those walls down sometimes and do that. So, but yeah, I do remember that. And I do that stuff all the time. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that,
I
bro.
want to hit
Yeah.
on that because that's such a. No one has said that. We've never had a guest who said something that damn good. Like you get paid to cultivate the best people. You get paid to cultivate leaders, and something that's been one. Oh my God, Alejandro, you're right. Like we absolutely do resonate with this. But we've had, we've had a few people that we're very close to Alejandro. We have guys like Cody Barton. We've got guys like Matt Beard. Both these guys are absolutely crushing. I mean, Cody Barton probably is doing, I mean, probably close to 9 figures a year right now and across all of his businesses. And the one thing that I've realized from both of those guys is they have this kind of thing in their office, in their office, and they are trying to prove a correlation that the employees, whether they're on sales or admin work or disposition work, whatever they're doing, right, or fulfillment, whatever it is, the position doesn't matter. The employees that actually consistently read books about self-development, the ones who read stay, and the ones who don't, it's not that they get fired because they're not reading, but they will automatically phase out. Because what ends up happening is let's say you got 20 people in the office, right? And there's this amazing collaborative culture, and people are resonating with one another. But the one guy who's not doing the work that all 19 others are doing, all 19 others are going through trenches, whether that's physical by working out, or they're going through trenches mentally by reading books for self-development, becoming better leaders, focusing on their sales skills, practicing, getting better and better and better. The 19 who go through the trenches together grow together, and the one guy who doesn't gets left behind. And over the course of 1, 2, 3 years, what ends up happening is there's like this kind of vibrational frequency of people's caliber. And you all started here, you're right here, but then guess what? The 19 others 3 years later, there's a massive disconnect. And this disconnect is what breaks culture. It's why people will fall off. So I love that you do that. I mean, like I never thought about like actually giving people like, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna steal
that's really what like changed. I mean, a lot of things like changed my life early on, but I'm telling you, like, first off, like me getting that ego up and then down again and then up again, really quickly, and then down again with the San Diego team, and then me, you think about it, like somebody that's willing to read or seek out information already has it, period, right? They've already got that drive. They got a drive, but your job is like a manager or somebody that's responsible, which you are responsible for building people up. That's your job, right? Is getting to know them. I used to be like, where do you live? What do you need? Like, not the stupid, like, what motivates you? Like, I want to know, like, what are your bills? Like, how much do you need to make? No, now what do you want to make? How much do you need to make? What's stressing you out? And once I know some of these things, I'm not trying to do like some schemy like trick. I'm trying to help you because I know when I alleviate that anxiety and that stress, you're going to blossom, and then you're going to look for that next level. And then I might try and get you to start spending some money, right? Because I want you to get better. I want you to see some nice things. I want you to go look at that thing. I want you to go do a little bit of a better thing, right? So I'm also going to do that, but it's mostly to just get you leveling up. And that's another thing, like, dude, sales coaching. I started doing sales coaching and webinars and books. And whether you may not like reading, try Audible, try audiobooks. I was doing traveling sales or driving to appointments. I could listen to like 1 or 2 books a week and not even notice it. But pretty soon you're going to find, like, I resonated with Grant Cardone in the beginning. And pretty soon I just knew so much stuff. I was talking to my people like, where did you learn that? I'm like, oh, yeah, this, some people are going to like Gary Vee. Some people are going to like, Tony Robbins. And so kind of guiding them, like, you may not like them. I like them because of this. I relate to that. But based on what I know about you, maybe you'll like these. And, kind of guide them and let them get inspired. But once they catch that fire, dude, it's like not even about you anymore. They just want to boom. They're pumped up.
Yep. So this is so good. Alejandro, thank you so much for bringing Andrei on, bro. Like, this is like, and I'm like so annoyed that I missed like the first 10 minutes because I'm like, I feel like that 10 minutes was worth like an hour. I want to actually highlight someone. Donovan is in the chat right now. He says he's taking a leadership course. Former Chipotle CEO. I didn't know they had. I mean, that's like a phenomenal person to learn from. Absolutely. So here's the thing. I actually had a call with Donovan recently, And I think this may apply to you in some weird extrapolation. Maybe there's a parallel you can take from it. In my business, in my real estate wholesale business, we're at the point now in this scale where, due to opportunity costs and due to all the other, vehicles that are in front of us, I basically can no longer be involved in any of the operations in the day to day. And it's a decision where we actually have a formal business coach we pay a tremendous amount of money to. I met with them yesterday, and we basically talked about this. And we're like, hey, this is the decision that you're, I think, effectively going to be in the spot of making, if you're not already, and it sounds like you are, which is like, hey, do I continue to remove myself, put people in place, put systems in place just to keep elevating my leverage? And eventually what's going to happen is and I hope you do, you get to the point where you have a COO or a CEO or both running it. And then you've got a board of advisors above them, and you are sitting as the chairman of the board, if not the tried and true business owner. And it's so funny, you can't have these conversations. And I actually have to thank Donovan for bringing those conversations up to me. But is that kind of in your mind, in like maybe the 10,000 foot view, is that the vision that you see, removing yourself all of those ways or all of those levels? Or is that something that maybe sometimes people don't want to be that removed?
You're talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. It's kind of an environment thing, even a few years ago before COVID, it ends up evolving there, because as you grow, it's not necessarily that you want to, it's that you need to. Like, I would never be able to run that many teams and reps and trainings and, along with like payroll and legal and all these different things that come up. Like, if you're a sales manager, that is a full-time job. Like, and selling hours are like holy, right? Like, I could never step away and be like, I'm going to be out for an hour. Like, no way. Right. But I think it evolves to that point. And so, that's again where I'm at now. It's more of an environment thing. I would love to say, hey, I can create, and you can create businesses where you can fully step out. I have noticed, however, that when I do get to that point and I stop putting that focus in and I stop putting that energy in, it goes, and it's much harder to come back up, because now you've got a higher overhead, you've got turnover, the time to train people, recruit, train, onboard. I mean, that stuff's so expensive, right? So it's like, if you're going to step out, like, you really gotta put a lot of work and trust in those systems and lock it before you go up just that other level. And I've made that mistake, just growing too fast. But if I were to do that, it'd be in like technology, like AI, something like that, which I'd love to do. But with people, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's a difficult and right, and that's so good, because it's like, thank you for saying that. The vehicle matters, right? The type of vehicle matters, right? Like, doing this in a heavy, sales and marketing. Like, I've one of my mentors. He's gonna do over 100 million this year in top line revenue in roofing, and their only form of marketing, truly tried and true, is door knocking. They've got 250 plus sales guys nationwide, and so to do 100 million in roofing versus 100 million in a data company, different, very different. So this is too fire, dude. Like, we can't, like, you don't hear conversations like this on YouTube for free either. That's actually wild. Alejandro, dude, we're running up on time, which is tough.
This is why I text you earlier. I'm like, bro, I feel like an hour will go fast. I feel like I've been with Andre for like 10 minutes and we're like an hour already. This is
well, I'm jealous, because you freaking known Andre for years now, and I've known Andre for an hour. So, this is actually not fair to me. But here's what we can't do. We can't spoil everybody, because we got 581 live people watching right now. We actually can't spoil them, because then they're going to get entitled, and we're not trying to breed entitled people. So what are we thinking? Andre, do you think we can potentially, maybe, if the people share this video enough, and if they follow you on social media enough, do you think that we can actually get you back for a part 2 sometime soon?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if you guys want, we take a couple of questions or whatever, and I would love to schedule another chat call. I feel like there's a lot more to dive into here. So For
Well, let's
sure.
do this.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take, there is a bit of a lag time between us streaming here and then it hitting YouTube. So,
Yep.
what we're going to do is, Alejandro, do you want to do one question? Because we are at time. Do you want to do one?
Yeah.
Let's
Oh
do that.
man, this
Alejandro, do you want to do it or do you want to leave it to the people in the chat? Because I feel like you've got some spicy questions.
bro, I'm not kidding. This is the most notes I ever took in any podcast we've been on. I'm gonna something that I've realized, Andre, is something that is very familiar and very unique to all entrepreneur, the one percenter. Number one, guilt of not working towards success. That you said that in the beginning. You have guilt of not working to success. And this is something Sam and I struggle with. It's like, dude, we're just working. And it's like, yeah, man, take vacation. What is that? What are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. We have people to take care of. We have people to make to get them to a better place in life. So we feel very guilty of, taking quote unquote off days. And every time I text you, Andre, you're like, dude, I work every day. What's up? Let's get it. Like it's every day. And that's one of it. Guilt. You are always around the right people. Ever since you started your business, you're around the right people. You are always absorbing more knowledge, reading books, listening to Grant Cardone. And something that I really like about what you said that a lot of people don't do, and this is where it differentiates someone that's going to go far and someone that's going to go really far for generations. And I think you are in the boat where you're going to be really far for generations because you are always a student. You one thing you said, I had my Apple Watch. I'm recording this guy to see how he's making this happen. There's other people, and I'm sure you've met like other cocky salespeople, like, oh, dude, I got this. Like, don't worry about it. And like two months later, they're like nowhere close where you want to be.
Dude, you said this on the last podcast, and I know we're running out of time, but like, really, people like don't think you're like smarter. We all think we're smarter, and we think we know this shortcut. Like, just take the work that other people did and try it first exactly their way. Just do that. And I tell my people all the time, like, do what I say. Just do what I say, right? When you get good and you're killing it, naturally your version's gonna creep in. And then once you're killing it for a little bit longer, maybe start to trickle in some of that. But if it's working, it's working, why would you go reinvent that, right? It's going to take you so long. So anyway, but I know we're running short on time. Did we want to take any other questions? I don't know if there's like a limit on your loop or.
No, there's no limit, but we're definitely adamant about not spoiling people, because so this is what we're gonna do. Because we also want to be hyper respectful of your time, right? Extremely hyper respectful of your time. And regardless of Alejandro, and regardless of the people, I'm probably going to force you myself to come back just so I can selfishly learn more from you. But this is what I want to do. For all the folks who are learning a lot from you, like me, who are inspired, like I'm sure Alejandro and I both equally are, where can people actually connect with you? Because your energy is something that people need to see more of in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so I still am on our Instagram pages and whatnot. If you guys want to follow SoHome.io, I think it's just SoHome.io. Follow that, message me. I'm on there a lot. We just got into the new office. Yeah, just SoHome.io, at SoHome.io. Message me on there. If you're not too crazy or anything like that, find my personal page. I'll show you that too. Start there. And I was telling Alejandro, I'm in solar. I do, other things, construction, merchant services. And I know that you guys are primarily real estate and, that side of things. And it's hit or miss. You hate us or you love us. There's just a lot of disconnect there. We all just want to be successful. And so I'm really excited to kind of like get to know you guys and what you do and vice versa, right? And there's a lot of opportunity to work together. And so I'd love to chat with you guys or meet or whatever it may be, see how we can all work together.
So let's do this. This is 100%. We absolutely do need to collaborate more, guys. This is one thing that I've always said for a very long time to anyone watching. I firmly believe that in our industry of real estate or in any one industry, you will hit a plateau. Like, you're always going to be student, you're always going to learn, you can always get better. But truly, you will hit a point where you will probably learn more and have exponential growth, meeting, collaborating, and learning from people in other industries. Like the industries that I love learning from data guys, social media marketing guys, digital marketing guys, anyone in sales and marketing that's in sales and marketing in another industry, just like you are, that is actually what helps me grow the most. Just so you know, I'm stealing a lot of the nuggets that you're giving. I'm taking them straight back to my business. And I hope that we can do the same. So because we are over, what I want everyone to do is go follow Andrei at SoHome.io. And then because this matters, like I've said this before, there's not many YouTube videos where you can actually have 3 business owners on the call, 3 high-level entrepreneurs on the call, and for free talking about building out sales teams as massively as Andrei has done, or talking about moves where we're potentially looking at hiring out and hiring CEOs and all these things. We only have one ask, and that one mission is simple: help this message get to more people who need to hear it. Because right now, someone is paying $50,000 for a mentorship from a fake guru who isn't doing the business. And this stuff is out there for free. So like always, like, subscribe, share. It's the most important thing. And then go give Andrei some love. Alejandro, anything else?
Man, that's it, bro. I'm excited for the part 2, part 3, part 4.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys. This was awesome. I didn't know what to expect coming in, but I love what you guys are doing. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Everyone, that is it for Think Big. We will see you next week.